What if one of rock's most legendary guitar gods was quietly called out by the very kid he inspired? Jimmy Page, the shadowy architect of Led Zeppelin, a man who conjured thunder from 6 strings and turned concerts into hypnotic rituals. He made guitars cry, scream, whisper, and then vanish into smoke. And Eddie Van Halen, the smiling assassin, a technical genius who treated the guitar like a machine built for joy and combustion. Every solo a firestorm, every performance a high-voltage sermon, 2 generations, 2 icons, and a rivalry that never erupted in public, but quietly crackled beneath the surface for decades, until one of them finally spoke. It's the mid-1970s. Led Zeppelin is at its creative peak. Jimmy Page, draped in a hand-stitched dragon suit, roams the stage like a warlock. Armed with a Gibson Les Paul, a violin bow, and a bottomless bag of sonic tricks, he casts spells in real time. His solos aren't clean. They're chaotic, raw, transcendent. Each performance is a gamble. Each riff teeters between genius and oblivion. To fans, he's a god. To musicians, a mystic. To young guitarists, he's the final boss. But in the shadows of the crowd stands a teenage Eddie Van Halen, wide-eyed, silent, watching not just with admiration, but with intent. He sees something others miss. Jimmy isn't perfect. He's vulnerable, fallible, and that's all Eddie needs. That night, Eddie races home, picks up his guitar, and starts experimenting. Page had occasionally tapped the fretboard with one hand. Eddie, he takes it further. He brings in both hands, left, right, fingers flying across the neck like sparks from a downed power line. He's not just imitating Page, he's surpassing him, building something entirely new. By the late 70s, Eddie Van Halen isn't just another guitarist, he is the new standard. Van Halen's self-titled debut hits like a detonation in the rock world. The solo on Eruption alone resets the rules of guitar playing. Suddenly everyone's tapping, everyone's chasing his sound. And then in 1981, Eddie is asked about his influences in a Guitar World interview. The name Jimmy Page comes up, and Eddie drops a bomb. He plays like he's got a broken hand, Eddie says. Sloppy. Then, almost as an afterthought, but off stage, the guy's a genius. The world blinks. Was this bravado, jealousy, truth, or the sound of the next generation clearing space? It wasn't just a critique, it was a challenge. Because Page and Van Halen were more than guitarists. They were ideologies. Jimmy Page represented the old world. Improvisation, texture, risk. His solos were alive, sometimes too alive. They breathed, faltered, soared, collapsed, and resurrected within a single performance. Eddie Van Halen represented the future, clean, calculated, explosive. He pushed boundaries like an engineer building a new machine. Where Page built mystique, Eddie built momentum. Where Page conjured mood, Eddie sculpted precision. They were yin and yang, united by talent, divided by philosophy. But Page? He stayed silent. For nearly 40 years, not a word. No defense, no resentment, no response. Just a quiet distance. The world wondered, was it dignity? Was it pain? Or was it understanding? Then, 2020, Eddie Van Halen dies, cancer, age 65, and the music world stops. And that's when Jimmy finally speaks. No bitterness, no old wounds reopened, just reverence. He was the real deal, Page says. He changed everything. That moment shifted everything. Because Page didn't just mourn Eddie. He validated him. He passed the torch. This wasn't a feud. It was a duet played in silence. Eddie Van Halen had once dismissed Page's live playing as sloppy, but Page, in the end, saw Eddie for what he truly was. Not a rival, but a revolution. Together, their legacies didn't just define different eras of guitar. They defined its entire evolution. One shrouded in mystery. The other lit up in fire. One born in blues and occult poetry. The other forged in California garages and amp explosions. They never collaborated, never clashed on stage, but they pushed each other, in spirit, one riff at a time. And in Jimmy Page's final words, the silent rivalry becomes something deeper. It becomes respect, earned, enduring, and now eternal. Because the truth is, rock never needed a single god. It needed two, one to cast the shadows and one to light the fire.